Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Perfectly Queer. Hello.
I'm loving the energy right off the bat. It's good
Look,
energy.
we gotta bring the energy, okay?
You got to. It's a Thursday.
It's
We're
a
almost to Friday. I forgot the dates
yes.
randomly.
It has been a heck of a week. So we're here and we're vibing and we're having a wonderful time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so Ash, it's been a bit. It's been like
It
what, two
has
weeks, 3 weeks?
three weeks.
How have you been? How was everything? You were like moving and planting, and how are you?
I'm great. As you can see, I haven't done a whole lot of unpacking to my office. It's still kind of the same. But everything else is like happening more. I am down to like, I think I have like two boxes in the rest of my house, and I've got just some boxes of video games in my office. So like we're doing really well with unpacking. It's
Mm,
great. How have you
Yeah.
been the last few weeks? Other than
Um,
busy.
Very busy, but also this morning, I'm just gonna talk about this morning.
Of
So
course.
I've been getting over a sickness. It wasn't COVID. I honestly went to the doctors and they went, I don't know. And I go, okay, that's not good.
Okay,
You shouldn't have
cool.
told me that. But I ended up having like a headache for 7 days. And I was very confused on like why. And I thought it was a migraine. And you know, I did that whole human being thing where you push it off because you're like, it's probably not that serious, right? Um, but I ended up getting like fatigue and like all this stuff, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So
Yeah.
I woke up this morning and I sprained my arm, like right underneath here. So I have a massage gun that you might randomly just hear.
Middle of it
Just me massaging my arm the entire time. Uh,
incredible.
You also might hear chat, and I want to apologize now. It is thundering in Austin, Texas. So you might hear some thunder, you might hear some booming, and it's Mother Nature just doing her thing
Yeah.
right now. Just doing her thing.
At great timing, of course, as always, you know? Love it.
As always. But yeah, I've been other than being busy, like I've been trying my best to be social. That's my thing.
Nice.
Going
Nice.
outside and hanging out with friends, which I love, and it's a good way to remove yourself from the computer screen if need be.
Oh God, yeah. It's so nice to get outside. After like I streamed earlier, I went outside and I just sat on in my backyard that doesn't have any furniture in it yet, just on the ground in the sun for like a half an hour. I'm like, I just need this.
You
I
pretend
need
to be a
this.
plant sometimes, because sometimes
I
you are a
got to.
plant.
It's lizard time.
It's
Some
lizard
lizard
time.
time.
I
You
have
gotta get in lizard
I've
time.
never heard lizard time, to be honest with you.
You gotta go sun yourself. It's lizard time.
I think I equate lizard time to plant time. Like sometimes you just gotta be a plant and just sit in the
Yeah, see, it's the
sun
same thing.
and
It's like sunning
hydrate.
yourself on a rock and photosynthesizing, you know? Same principles. You got to go sit in the sun.
You gotta
It's
go sit.
fantastic.
Oh,
You
is there
know,
anything in gaming that you've like done recently?
is it embarrassing that my answer is the same as 3 weeks ago, or is that a
No,
good
no, no,
thing?
no. It's consistency.
I'm nothing if not consistent. I am still playing Baldur's Gate all the time. However, it's a long game, okay? It's like 100 and like 200 hours of a game, all right?
I told you what I did, right?
Yeah, ish. What do you mean?
In Baldur's Gate 3,
I think so.
I met Karlach and I killed her immediately.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, yeah, I met her, because I'm trying to go for Will. He's like a good boy.
Oh no, you're literally like, I'm a ride or die for you. You want
I'm
to kill
already,
this girl or
yeah.
she's dead now?
Look, you tell me to kill, I'll do it.
I'll do it.
I'll
I'll do
do it.
it.
Yeah,
You say jump, I say how high, babe. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's fine. It's fine, babe. No,
Oh my gosh. See, look, I Asterian's my baby. So I'm
it's
glad that
fair.
I'm not that ride or die because I would be committing crimes if I did everything
You'd
he asked me to
you
do
would
and
also
wanted to do.
probably be dead.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
That too. He can
I
use me as a little Capri Sun, but he can't drain the bag, you know?
true. I actually got to Act 2 recently, so I'm exploring
Ooh.
that world. Um, but
Act 2
yeah,
is very fun.
it's been
Very,
it's
very fun.
it's been a fun time. It's been a
I'm
very fun
actually, yeah,
time.
I'm like finishing up Act 2 right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot in there. There's a lot you have to do. I'm
So
concerned
much.
and
We've
scared.
definitely probably we've missed things. We've on purpose not done things because it's like, oh, we'll just do it in our next playthrough. If we do everything, it'll take us 3 trillion hours to get through this
Yeah.
game.
Well, I just
So, you know.
also got sick. Well, I'm sick. And usually what I do when I am sick is play my Nintendo Switch. So I started playing Pokemon Scarlet.
Ooh,
And I just beat I say Final Four. The no,
Elite
what is it?
Four?
The Elite Four. I was gonna say the Justice League for some reason.
See, the way I'm like not a Pokemon girly at all, but at least I know that. That's the only thing you'll catch me knowing.
I defeated the Justice League.
I defeated the Justice League in Pokemon Sapphire. The most ambitious crossover event in history.
But they just released a DLC, I think yesterday, no, someday, I don't know. And so I'm going to be playing the DLC as well. So I'm
Fun.
excited. And it adds more to the story of Pokemon. So that's where I've been in my gaming life. And I'm happy that you're still playing Baldur's Gate because it's so good.
It's so good. I love it. It is so, so fun. I have, I think, 7 characters now.
Oh my God. Oh
I have
my
3 co-op ones with different people, and then I have like 4 separate ones of like different pathways that I want to take.
Oh my God. Okay. That's so much.
So you can do so much in that game. Every time I do something, I'm like, I'm gonna make a character so I can do that next time, and so then I make that character.
Oh
It's
my.
chill.
Yeah,
I'm so fine.
it's chill and it's
I'm so fine. I'm totally normal about the game.
no,
Totally normal.
totally normal chat.
Yeah, totally
100%.
normal chat calling Astarion a cute little peppermint. I agree. I
A
actually love
cute
that and
little
I'm stealing it.
peppermint.
So thanks.
Wait,
I'm
that's so
stealing it.
cute.
It's very cute. I love it. But, you know, it's great. Have, have you, other than Pokemon, have you been doing anything else with gaming and things?
Um, no, it's just been Baldur's Gate and Pokemon right now, and
Sweet.
then
At least you have 2 things. I just have the one.
you have the one but different routes for each. Well, which is nice. It adds a different flavor to the game and everything.
Yeah. Actually, it's not true. I've been playing Silent Hill. I've been
Oh,
doing
okay,
my
nice.
my annual Silent Hill run through.
Because
So
we're
I
getting
am doing more than
closer.
one.
I say we're getting
Silent Hill
closer to
just feels
scary
like as
time.
natural as breathing. It doesn't count. I literally can probably play those games with my eyes closed. I'm like, yeah, this is this, this is this.
But it's like comfort at that point.
It is,
So
which is concerning, maybe.
no, no, no. We're getting closer to October, so it's fine.
It's
That
true. It's
is
true. My comfort games are Silent
it
Hill.
is a-okay.
That's what's up.
I'm
It's
loving it.
fine.
I'm definitely loving it. Do you have anything that you're like, I was gonna say this to the end, but I have a different question at the end. So,
Okay, yeah, no.
do you have anything
You
that
know what?
you are doing this like weekend?
Really relaxing. Maybe painting my bedroom, you know?
What color?
I'm trying to do like a nice warm white because right
Okay.
now it's like the like millennial gray, like a blue gray, which
Hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of because it feels really cold. But then I want to have like a warm white with like a nice warm green accent wall. Very excited about it.
Ooh. Ooh. I feel like
Yeah.
you rock green just very well.
Thank you. I also think so.
It's like
And
green and yellow
so
are two colors that I'm just like, yeah, that's yours. You've owned it. You own those colors now.
I will take it because I love those colors. It's just like a sunflower.
It's
That's
a
me.
yeah.
Yeah,
I hate the
yeah.
color purple, so I just everything
Hmm.
about me right now is just purple, purple, purple. It's great.
And it's great. You look great in purple lighting and you look great in purple. So like it all works out.
Thank you. My favorite colors are the colors of the bisexual flag, so it just like works out that
There you
that's the
go.
lighting that also makes me look best. So
Fantastic. I love bisexual lighting. It is beautiful. But also, you know, we should, you know, probably talk about what we're talking
oh
about
yeah.
today.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god. We
So
are
instead of talking about video games forever, but hi. Today's episode, is all about kicking off Hispanic Heritage Month, which is fantastic, very exciting. And we are actually going to be chatting with It Gets Better's communications coordinator, Yarit, and an activist and president of the TransLatin Coalition, Bamby, who is fantastic as well, and the organizing and training co-director for United We Dream, Cynthia. And they're all fantastic, wonderful, very excited to chat with them later. And at the end of today's episode, we are going to be watching the premiere of It Gets Better's newest series, Hispanic and.
Yeah. The Hispanic and campaign highlights all of the ways our intersectional identities complement each other and inform our experiences as LGBTQ plus people. Throughout the month, It Gets Better will be posting their videos from queer trailblazers from a variety of backgrounds and learn how their cultures influences their life. So, should
Fantastic.
we jump into our first guess of the day, which I'm
I would
excited.
love that.
Let's
My gosh.
see if we can get Yarit in here. I feel like that could be a fun heckin' time. I have a button that's gonna switch us over to the correct thing.
Awesome.
There we go.
Yay! Hello.
Hello.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I was so nervous. I was like,
you.
I want all the things to work. But yeah, all right. How are y'all? I know
We're,
y'all were like hella chatting it up about video games.
I know
Yeah,
We're good to
okay.
go.
we're gamers. We're gamers.
We're
This is what
gamers. We can talk
happens.
about gaming forever.
No, for real.
Yeah.
I
How
love
are
to see it.
you?
I'm good. Honestly, Thursday my favorite day. I want to say I feel like it just gets me hyped for the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm always ready on a Thursday. But I've been feeling really good today. I'm excited to just chat with y'all, chat with Bambi and Cynthia. Just feel really grateful to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for It Gets Better
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah. So my name's Yadid. My pronouns are ella, they, and I'm the communications coordinator here at It Gets Better. I am also part of our Spanish initiative that I'll get a little bit more into. Um, but yeah, I basically I support with social media, the things here at It Gets Better.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, running along with our little intro questions, what did you get up to last weekend?
Yo, okay, so I don't know if y'all have heard about it's a movie that just came out. It's called Mutt. It's a
I
movie about no?
No, I have not.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna put y'all on. I'm gonna put y'all on. So it's a movie about a trans guy. His name is Peña, and it's really just a movie about like his story and living in New York. I really love like romanticizing New York, and it's also really cool to like see it from a trans perspective. I'm also trans myself, so there's a lot of like relatability through it. So yeah, y'all should watch it. It's MUTT. Um, but that's kind of what I went into. What about y'all?
you know, just I literally just was like unpacking, doing work around my house, honestly. That's kind of all I was doing. What about you, Bliss?
Yeah.
I've been trying to recover from a sickness that I
Mm.
don't even know what it is. So it sounds amazing.
It
Honestly,
sounds
amazing
awesome.
experience.
It sounds awesome, not at
Yeah.
all patient zero-y.
I'm not patient zero. I promise everyone. I am not
That's
patient
literally what
zero.
came up for me.
I promise I'm not patient
Okay.
zero. Everyone, please believe me. But yeah, I've been honestly taking time to myself, which I don't do a lot.
Mm,
So taking breaks and
yeah.
recovering and relaxing is honestly very it's a foreign concept for a lot of content creators. So
Mm,
actually forcing my body to do that in order to rest and relax and get better has
yeah.
been such a fun journey.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it's so hard to like touch grass nowadays.
It is so
Especially,
hard.
like
Which is
it
weird because
really
it's like right
is.
there.
It's right
So
It
there.
really is. It really is. Yeah.
Gosh.
well, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at It Gets Better Project? Like in general, like what your
Yeah.
work is and like how you worked on creating certain things.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the main things is the Spanish initiative. And so I won't go too into it because I can talk for like hours about it. But the Spanish initiative is about having like more accessibility for Spanish speaking folks um, globally, right?
Mhm.
And so one of the like part of that initiative was firing me. I was raised in Mexico, born in LA, so I have this mix of like speaking Spanish in Mexico and also speaking Spanish here in the US, which is like completely different. And it's really fun to be able to like see those intersections. So it's a lot of, yeah, just kind of pushing out that narrative to see how it can connect other folks within that Spanish speaking intersectionalities. And then we also do, I support our social media manager with content creation and pushing things out on the platforms that we use, doing things like this, like coming up and speaking with y'all, just to like push out more of that like representation that is needed for like Spanish speaking folks. Um, so yeah, I don't know if y'all have like more questions with that, but it really is just that like I'm just out here looking for like memes in Spanish that could be relatable for like queer, like Spanish speaking folks, which is really fun. And also like what is meaningful for Spanish speaking youth here in the US and globally? Like what resources and what conversations can we also push out and uplift for folks? I just think of like the younger version of me or the younger version of my friends that speak Spanish and are queer, like what we would want to see.
So in
I love
chat,
that.
it gets better says memes in Spanish. They find good ones.
Nice.
Yeah, it's real.
Well,
I love
I'm gonna be honest,
sourcing.
finding memes, like good memes, is hard. It's like
It is.
hard to comb the internet for them. So props,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Good stuff.
I've been using Tumblr to get my memes, which is in the best place to be.
Tumblr's making a comeback, y'all.
It
It
Like they
is.
really
it is.
are.
It
Yeah.
so is. I feel like the only reason that I haven't really gone like whole like hog back into Tumblr is the fact that I am one of those girlies that needs to like sit and I need to code my whole blog. Like, like start the HTML coding and I'm like, this needs to be gorgeous. This needs to fit the aesthetic of what I'm gonna be blogging about. And if I was unleashed with my current obsessions, it would be a disaster.
I
Wait,
think I
actually,
think you need to go back.
are you a Capricorn?
I'm not. I'm an Aquarius.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was like, this is giving Capricorn.
I wanted you to read her. I wanted you to read her and be like,
I was like so stoked, honestly. I'm like, because a
No,
lot of people
no.
do pin me as like an Aquarius. I'm like Aquarius, Aries, Taurus is my big three.
Wait, Taurus rising? That's precious. I love that. Yeah, I
I'll take
do.
that. I'll take that.
Yes.
it's always the queers and zodiac signs that I'm just like, yes. But
Yeah.
Yeah, truly.
it's
I'm like,
ours
that's the
now.
icebreaker.
That's the
Yeah,
X-ray. What's your zodiac?
yeah. See, I feel like I don't know like a ton about zodiac stuff. However, I do know my big three, and I feel like that's all that's really necessary for
That's
people to be
enough.
like, I
I
understand
would
you.
say your big three is your big three. Yeah, your big three is 100%
Hmm.
you. I
Truly, truly.
would say Yuri. What's your zodiac sign if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I'm Taurus sun, Virgo moon, and Gemini rising.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, yeah, a lot of Earth. What about you, Bliss?
Pisces sun, Virgo moon, Aries rising.
Okay.
So I'm toxic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I was like, oh,
Thanks. I just
Yeah, no, I saw
oh
the face and I was like, no, no, no.
oh
I know I'm
oh.
toxic. It's fine. It's so fine.
you know what? We love that self-awareness. I'm here for
Hmm.
that. Mhm, mhm.
Self-awareness. See, like I got the oh that's precious, and you got the
I got the that's concerning. And I'm like, uh-huh. It explains my week.
there you go. Oh my
No, I love the
gosh.
Virgo moon though. Yes.
Incredible. Well, circling back to like your role with It Gets Better, do you have any like
Yeah.
goals with like your role? Did you have any like coming in to things you really wanted to like pinpoint and work on?
Yeah, I think community engagement. So most of like my past work has been working within communities, so working with queer and Latina and immigrant communities. So I definitely want to bring in that perspective of like how do we connect and uplift other community members, whether it's like activists or nonprofits or just folks out here doing, like the work,
Mhm.
whatever that means for people. So I think that's what, and it feels really cool to have a team that like also supports and uplifts that. Like they've been doing this. It's just me with a different lens, being able to connect with different folks. So yeah, it's just that connecting with community.
That's awesome.
That's And community is really important. I mean, I'm very thankful to find I found a lot of my community on the internet and on
Mhm.
Twitch when I started streaming. I didn't really see a lot of people who were like black and queer in the space of gaming until I started
Mhm.
streaming, and then we all found each other, and I was like, oh my god, it was Spider-Man meme immediately. So, and then they have just been a part of my like community and a part of like resources that I know I could always go to if I ever have questions or ever doubt myself in general, just in the space. So, community is important. Representation, 100% important. So that's really, really, really awesome to hear.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel that. I don't know what I would be without community. So it's always like the main thing in my lenses.
Absolutely. Gosh, I think it's a beautiful thing about the internet is just like your world is so large now, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just like the people that you can like connect with is just the web is infinite almost.
Yeah,
Like before, I was
Mhm.
just
yeah.
sending pigeons, like carrier pigeons out to people, being like, "Hey, do you want to join my Discord?"
There is still Discord,
Oh,
but
sorry.
there's
Hey, do you want
less
to
carrier
join
pigeons.
my carrier pigeon pin house?
Yeah, they actually have they like meet up and they all talk and then they bring the respective little messages back. And then that's how it's just like the world's slowest group chat.
Yeah, just one emote. I drew an emote. Here you go.
It's so funny.
Beautiful. Well, speaking of, wanting to reach out to other people in the community, like nonprofits and things, I feel like it would be great to bring in our other guests.
Yes,
Just
I'm so
to,
excited.
Let's bring in
Mhm,
our other guests. We have Bamby
mhm.
and Cynthia also joining us. I'm gonna press a button, and it's gonna be the right button.
I'm not
It
sure if it is.
is the right button. There we go. Hello, Cynthia, and
Hello.
hello,
Oh, I
Bambi.
don't think Bambi is back yet.
Yeah.
Well, we wait. I'll
Yeah,
say
well, wait,
hi.
let's
Hi,
just
Cynthia.
chat with y'all. Hello, Cynthia. Welcome on in.
Hello,
I'm
hello.
here. I'm here. I'm gonna get on the camera
Of
right
course. Oh my
now.
gosh. No worries. You're good.
Hold
Also,
on.
Yuri, I got beef with you because you changed your camera angle.
Listen, it needed to happen. It needed to
You
happen.
changed, and I was gonna say
It was
something, but
something
it was
about it
us.
was something about your question where you were like, "Is that the background you're gonna be using?" I
No, no,
was
no,
like,
no.
"Wait,
That's the question was. I
hold
was like,
up."
hey, just is that going to be it? Because like, could you move your camera down a little bit? And I was just like, uh, okay.
Just
Listen,
And
for
then we got to here, and I
framing.
was like, you.
this is what you get.
This was
I
my
don't
fault.
know.
This is my fault. Correct.
So
Everything is
now
good. Everything
this
is good.
Now we got beef.
now we got beef. I was trying to be besties, but
Yeah, I was trying to be besties too. I was like Zodiacs. Okay, this is great. Okay, but camera angle. What happened there?
Look, I think the Zodiac just brought in like the groundwork of what it's going to be, the vibe.
facts, facts.
I'm just saying, I was ready the moment people were like, "What's your sign?" And I was like, "I know there's a lot of Virgo haters out there,
Oh, I love Virgos.
and
I
it's
love Virgos
Virgo
so much.
season, so I was
I
ready
love
to
Virgos.
engage."
Oh my gosh. You came in, you're like cracking
Same.
your knuckles. You're like, all right, we're getting into this. We're ready. We are ready. Hi, Bambi.
Hi, beautiful
Funny.
Hello.
people.
Hi.
Right.
Well, now that everyone is here, let's do like a quick introduction for Cynthia
Ah,
and Bambi. Cynthia, I'll start with you. If you could just introduce yourself with your name, your pronouns, anything else that you just want to share.
Yeah, I can definitely get started. Cynthia, CJ, my pronouns are she, they, AJ. I am based out of Oklahoma City. It's been my home for the last almost 20 years since I migrated. I'm undocumented, I'm queer AF, and I'm celebrating Virgo season. I just celebrated my birthday. I'm actually in a new space, so you don't get a fire background
Oh,
with the plants and stuff just yet. Don't worry though. I mean, no tea, no shade. I'll build this out eventually. But yeah, I'm really excited to be in conversation with y'all today, and thank you for having me.
super
Same goes to
awesome.
you, Bambi.
Um, can y'all hear me well?
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, first and foremost, I want to say hello, beautiful people, to all of those who are watching and sharing space with all of us. My name is Bamby Salcedo, and I do have the privilege to be the president and the CEO of the TransLatin Coalition, which is a national advocacy organization that is based in Los Angeles that functions with two arms. We believe in the empowerment of our people through service provision, but we also do system change work through our policy work. And so, yeah, I'm just, honored that I get to share space with you. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with all of you.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have y'all here. And then just Yuri, I know that we did this before, but could you also like give your name and pronouns just for everyone in the room?
Yeah, so Yadi, ella, they pronouns. Um, and I've actually, like, I've worked with Bambi in policy, and I've done civil disobedience work with Cynthia. So I'm like, I'm geeked. I'm geeked to hear all the things.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
awesome. I
This,
love that.
this is gonna be fun. Well, Cynthia, I'm gonna start with you. Could you introduce the nonprofit you work for and share a little bit about what the nonprofit does?
Yeah, so I have the honor and privilege to be working at United We Dream. We are the largest youth immigrant youth network in the country, and we really work with communities, particularly the immigrant community, to empower them to be able to make systemic change, and not just to pass like permanent protections for immigrant people, but to ultimately like create communities where we all thrive. We believe that directly impact the communities should be at the front and should get to lead the work that we do. And so part of the work that I get to do in my day to day is do and lead the planning and training of the leadership development opportunities that the young people who are leading the work are currently doing on the ground. I came in as a volunteer and sort of like community leader at United We Dream, really driven by the deportation defense work that we do, and just organizing really transformed my life in that way, and found myself in an opportunity to continue to build, to continue to like just dream of a different community where we actually get all the things that we need, and we're affirming all of the immigrant people and the people around us that make our communities safe, that makes our communities visible, and that ultimately allows us to thrive together. So that's a little bit of the work that we do. We are in different states in the DMV area, DC, Texas, Florida. We have affiliates all across the country: New Mexico, Arizona, Oklahoma, Kansas. And so we get to have a network all across the country that is building change in whatever iteration of leadership folks are in, whether in their school chapters or in the city or the state level. We're very lucky and fortunate to have young people leading the work.
That
Awesome.
wow, that was like an amazing explanation of that. I love
Yeah.
that.
It'll be like this long, beautiful list. And it's like, yeah, just a little bit about what we do. I'm like, whoa.
Oh my
That's
God.
incredible.
That is wow, amazing. Bambi, can you introduce your nonprofit you work for and share a little bit about what it does as well?
Yeah. So we are one of the biggest translate organizations in the country, and uh, possibly one of the biggest in the world. Um, there are 42 amazing trans, gender and conforming, intersex, and even cis people working at our organization. And so, in the service provision part of the work that we do here in Los Angeles, we have a multiplicity of services specifically designed and cater to uplift the livelihood of trans, non-conforming, and intersex people. So here in Los Angeles, we have, we provide services such as, we have follow other models, that have worked, like the Black Panther Party model, right? So we give food every day to people. We have clothes and hygiene kits. We have programs for aging trans people. We have reentry services programs for people who are um, impacted by the carceral system, whether it's immigration detention or prison or jail. We have HIV prevention services. We have legal services, specifically focused on immigration and supporting trans people who have immigration issues and needs. We also have anti-hate programs, violence prevention programs. um, we have a house that is a refuge for members of our community, which is our Hope House. And again, we also do policy work, and so we have been leading a lot of the work that is specific to really support and uplift the livelihood of trans people here in California. And some of that work is also being replicated in other states. Like one example that I could give, it's Assembly Bill 2218, which is a Trans Wellness and Equity Fund, which the governor signed $13 million specifically dedicated to uplift trans led organizations across California. Um, and similar legislation has happened in New York as well. Um, and and through different chapters that we have across the state, we do have representation in 10 different states and cities. And so there are also other chapters who are also doing service provision to a smaller scale, but it's the work that we do. And right now, we currently have two pieces of legislation that have passed the Assembly and the Senate and are going to go to the governor's desk. And one is specifically for reentry services, and the other one is for data collection. And so, and we also do research. We are currently working in a couple of different reports. One on the quality of life of transgender and conforming intersex people here in Los Angeles, and the other one is and that one is in collaboration with UCLA and the Williams Institute, and the other one is where it's on the impacts of COVID-19 and trans community in Los Angeles. And that was just a collaboration between California State, Los Angeles, and our organization. So and we also create our own content, and we know and understand that we are the only ones that are able to tell our own stories. And so we're making sure that we are creating content that is specific about our people, right? And so I mean, we do a lot. Yeah, like
That's
you
literally what
know
I was gonna be. I was like, that's a lot. That is
It's a
amazing,
lot.
though.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that it gets better in the chats that obsessed with how these orgs truly do it all for the community. And it's literally like the list is so long and so impressive and impactful. It's fantastic for real. My goodness.
I mean, the tea behind that though is if you're not gonna do it for the community, no one's going to do it for the community. So it's like, no, no, no. I'll be the person. Like, I'm gonna do it since y'all don't want to do anything. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that has been the reality of many of us, right? And so
Yeah.
that's why I think, we do the work that we do,
Mhm.
because nobody else is doing it for us. And so, the great thing about it is that, we are, and that is why, a lot of attacks are happening in towards our communities. It's because we're coming into our power. And so they want to dim our light, right? But
Yeah.
they have not been successful over centuries, and they're not going to succeed today or ever.
Ooh,
So that's why
oof,
we do what we do.
ooh. I love that. Oh my
Yeah,
god, that's
that's
so
great.
good.
Absolutely fantastic. Because it's true. It's like fear, they see the power that people have that they're realizing they have, and they are scared of it. And it's
I just don't think they understand with the phobia
They don't
of
know
things.
what's coming, honey. They don't know what's coming.
that I also want to say there's a lot of joy with that. I know that like when I've been in spaces with Bambi or in the spaces with like Cynthia, there's a lot of dancing, there's a lot of music, there's a lot of like I feel like that's why community and like this involvement is so important to me because it's not just like, oh, we're gonna stand here and like yell at you. We're also gonna like do the most and put the music on and share some food and like it's gonna be a party and it's gonna be a joyful experience too. So
And
I
we're
think
gonna
that
fuck
that
shit
yeah.
up too.
Hey, hey, exactly. So there's a lot of
Absolutely.
joy within it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of jumping off of like the whole like if no one's gonna do it, we gotta do it. Like how did you like kind of find your way to these like nonprofits? Maybe we'll start with you. Like how did you find this organization? What like led you to wanting to do this work and why has it been like super important to you?
Did you say you wanted to start with
Yeah,
me?
start with you, yeah.
Oh. Wow. That is, how do I condense that answer?
I know it's loaded.
Well, I so I do have to say, right, that I am 54 years old, right? And so I, some people consider me an elder in the movement, and I've been doing,
I was gonna give you like
this
30, and you said sorry, you said 50?
54, thank you very
Okay.
much. Las cremas me ayudan. But I- anyways, I said that the creams help me. And so yeah, like the truth is that, I am an individual who has, survived many different challenges, right? As a trans woman. And, that, um, that also had the opportunity to overturn those horrific experiences into opportunities, right? And not just for me, but also for my people, right? And so, just thinking, when I started my transition, when I first landed in Los Angeles, so I'm originally from Mexico, de Guadalajara, so soy paisana de Yaritz. Anyways, I'm Yaritz, ¿cómo se dice paisana?
Tell a
Anyway,
neighbor. We're neighbors.
see, we're siblings, in the movement, anyways. But yeah, so when I landed here in Los Angeles back in the 80s, right, and when I started my transition at 18, back then there wasn't any support or any type of services for us, and so anything and everything that we needed to find, we found it in community, right? And so I'm rooted in community. And so, it was all the trans women who supported me, and uplifted me, right? Many of whom are no longer here with us, and many who are now elder, like they're in their 70s and 80s, right? And so, I come from, the same experiences that I experienced back then are still the same experiences that our people continue to experience today, right? And so I survived incarceration. I spent about 15 years of my life in and out of prison, immigration detention and all of those things, right? And survived drug addiction and all, homelessness, sex work as means to survive, and sexual violence both in prison and on the streets, and you know guns pointed to my head, beaten up and chased out of neighborhoods, whatever you can think of. Like, I think I survived it. And so because I had the opportunity to overturn my horrific experiences into opportunities, but also I was able to get into rehab and to like sort of like reform my life, and just you know understanding my responsibility with that and my privilege, right? And in a form of giving back to my people. And so I do have to say though that one of the things that really transformed my life, and the way that I organize and the way that I started doing things was the murder of Gwen Araujo. And some of you, probably don't even know who Gwen Araujo was. But Gwen Araujo was a 17-year-old trans Latina who was brutally murdered and buried alive, um, here in California. And so that impacted me, my life, and so that was when I was like, fuck this shit, like we got to do something. And that's how we started actually the murder of Gwen Naranjo also sort of like changed the trans movement in different ways, and but that's how I started organizing, and that's how I started being involved more deeply in community. And because I had, the opportunity to get a job at a nonprofit, and that's how I started to learn. Like I have become who I am because the people have uplifted me to be who I am. And with that, also understanding that I must do anything and everything that I can to to change the landscape of all of us, right? And so that's how I sort of like got to do what I do. And I mean, it's been like 25 years that I've been doing this work. And so, I'm lucky that I'm still here, and I surpassed the life expectancy of 35 years old of trans women, and so yeah, I'm unapologetic about the work that I do. And we gotta do what we gotta do because our lives are on the line every single day. And so yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I guess I got thrown into
Mhm.
doing this work, not necessarily because I wanted to, but because I had to.
My goodness.
I think you answered that perfectly, honestly. Yeah, that was good.
Mhm. It's fantastic. Sorry, I feel like I'm almost a little speechless. That's just wild. It's very incredible. Just everything that you do, and it's great.
But
Uh,
I'm also an academic. Thank you.
hey, let's go. Beautiful, beautiful.
So I bring both. I bring the streets with the academic, and you know what I mean. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cynthia, what led you on your path to work with like your nonprofit, and what is like why has it been really important to you?
Yeah, I think what Bambi shared of like sometimes we're like thrown into the spaces that end up really
Mhm.
shaping us. And I just want to like pause and say that in spaces where like our people don't make it to the age you're in, Bambi, like what a celebration of
Mhm.
power and work that you've led. And to be like, yeah, honored to meet you, whether it's online, just beautiful, like a beautiful gift that you've given so many years of your life to do this work and do it with a level of like clarity. I think it's refreshing and necessary, especially in this moment. So I just want to say, like, I want to see more elders, and I want to see us get old, and I want us to celebrate getting old, because we know that even that it's a privilege for many of the people who came before us. And what a beauty that we get to
Mhm.
celebrate your 54 years of life in this space. Um,
Absolutely.
as I shared, I mean, I migrated from Nayarit, which I thought it was funny earlier because I was gonna say, okay, Yarit, Nayarit, and I had a whole hat and everything, but
Mhm.
I migrated from Nayarit about 20 years ago, and we came in undocumented. I think I've always known, right, my reality being an undocumented person, but then coming out as queer and experiencing sort of like this duality in which in places where I could talk about my undocumentedness but couldn't talk about my queerness, and places where I could talk about my queerness but I couldn't talk about my status. I think it just kind of brought me into the space where I wanted to create a space that allowed me to be full and to be whole in the place that I showed up, and just kind of brought me into community organizing by almost like faith in a way. Came in into a lot of different community spaces that just felt like something was missing, and found other queer people who were like, oh my God, you don't have papers either? Like, let's go. Let's build the space that actually names the intersections of identity and the richness that it brings into our communities. And so I started organizing with Dream Action Oklahoma, which is the local affiliate of United We Dream. Basically starting deportation defense because as a queer person, as an undocumented person, that was the biggest threat to myself, to my family, to the people that I care about. And so figuring out tools and systems that provided support for immigrant people in the state of Oklahoma, a place that consistently attacks both those identities, felt like an imperative. And through that, basically just kind of came in into community organizing, really thinking back of what you said, Bambi, of like nobody has is gonna do it for us, so we have to do it ourselves. And so it's been my journey for the last few years to really think about how we build a robust, like rich, joyful, and radical, like immigrant youth power movement that transforms what the US looks like and who the US is in a global scale, right? Like I think the US has a responsibility to really like name the impact that it's had from forcing us to migrate from our places of home to the sort of like increasing violence that is occurring for immigrant people, for queer and trans folks. And so I feel really energized by saying that, yeah, community organizing found me, and it has allowed me to just like figure out what's that supercharge. And I think Jared, you mentioned like the radical joyness in which I don't have to choose how I show up. I think it just really allowed the onion to peel and just like bloom in a way that um, is just unapologetic, queer AF, undocumented AF, and really defining that like my status doesn't dictate the way I want to live. Like I get to choose that and be an agency and do that with people that care about me and love me. And so that's what we're doing. We're building young people power that's going to change the tide, and that's ultimately going to create spaces where like we don't have to choose how we show up. We're just going to be. And you said like wait until it changes. Like I just think about like if people could see the vision that queer, trans, like immigrant people have for all of us, like it's actually a gift to be able to see ourselves in that space. And so I'm so excited and so ready to like continue to replicate that spaces, whether it's on the screen, talking about how unapologetic we are showing up, or like in the community spaces that we like shape. Because I just think that like that's what's gonna get us to the next iteration of our futures. And yeah, what a gift to be able to do that with you all today.
That's one of my favorite things about this podcast is like we can just bring people together to just be loud and be unapologetically themselves, because yeah, hiding who you are, feeling like you have to like live half truths is exhausting and shouldn't be a thing. And I'm glad that like we're creating more spaces for that to be a thing. And I know that there's like kind of a little through line, which it's always the way it is. I feel like in every one of these episodes is it goes kind of back to like the youth do like coming up and doing a lot of things, and how we always just say like the kids are punk rock now, because I feel like with every like generation it's just like like people like older people in the movement like bring like the younger people in and teach them, and then like they bring that knowledge and then grow more knowledge. And it's just like Bimmy, like how you said, like when you had like older trans women, when you like came out, help you and teach you things, and now that you have grown up and you're bringing that same like knowledge and teachings and like love to like younger like trans folks like coming into their own, it's just so nice to see that like people are just continuing on like passing the torch almost kind of thing. And it's just especially with like nonprofit work, just the people who like run these things and bringing in like younger people to help with the work and do the work, and things are getting done, and it just makes me very
Yeah, I think that what came up for me is like intergenerational power, right? Like that's what I mean, I've been inspired by both Bambi and Cynthia, and like I I'm a mentor to younger queer folks, and a mentor to younger trans kids. So it's like really cool to see. I've learned a lot from everybody. I've learned a lot from like the youth.
Yeah.
Honestly, like the youth is humbling. They've humbled me. And I know that when I was like 15 to 18, I would humble folks. So it's just like cool that it feels like we're all in this movement together and we're all learning together. And I think it just goes back to that, just like recognition of intergenerational power and like how creative it can be and how playful it can be, even though it is like heavy things sometimes, and we are constantly having to like look on the bright side of things.
Mhm.
But and that's why I brought Bambi and Cynthia into this space, because I was like, I know that they're they're gonna be straight up, like y'all are gonna hear about it. So yeah.
Yeah, and if I can just, just add a little bit to what you're saying,
Yeah.
Yarid. I mean, I think it's important for us to acknowledge, that there have been some gains throughout, right? The struggle, but the reality is that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, right? And
Yes.
so we have to also think about, the sustainability of our people, right? And that's why, the intergenerational empowerment that Yarid is talking about, right? It's so important, right? Because, um, I mean, we're not going to be here forever, right?
Mhm.
But there's, unfortunately, to create the changes that we want to see in the world, it's going to take a long time. And then that's just the
Mhm.
reality, right? It just, because of where we are today, despite the little gains that we have gotten, there's still a lot of work that needs to happen. And the ones who are going to, continue to with that work, it's our young people, right? And so how do we continue to foster and support and acknowledge and really understand the power that young people also have, right? And like I said, I've been around for a minute, like even, and I've been part of multiple movements, right? And I think it's also important to recognize that, there's within the multiple movements, right? And when I say multiple movements, I'm talking about like the immigration movement, for instance, or the decarceral movement, or the women's movement, right? Like just the multiple movements that impact that the many of us are also part of, right?
Mhm.
Um, have also been, oppressors and marginalizers, right? And so we have to understand that we need to eliminate all of those things, right? In order for us to really understand what is the commonality and the work that needs to happen, right? And really get to it and do it. Because if we continue to work in silos, it's going to take us longer.
Yeah.
I think many of us talk about, the liberation of people, right? But don't necessarily even understand what that means, right? And that is also one thing that a lot of people also like are doing nowadays, right? Like that they're just, learning phrases and catching up phrases and just using them without even understanding what that means, right? Like how do they apply that into their lives, into the work, into the movement, you know? But we have to be conscientious about the work that we need to continue to do and really move forward with that.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Yes. 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 Yes.
For sure. And I feel like with like obviously just like you said, like you, you're a part of like multiple movements. I feel like there's no single person that's just like sitting behind one single identity, right? Like everybody's multidimensional, has a bunch of stuff. And I feel like that kind of leads back into, I know that like we've kind of talked about like Yeti, you worked with Bammy and you did some things with Cynthia, like very doing a bunch of things. I feel like I'm assuming it obviously is, but like I just want it in your words, kind of like Cynthia, you can start like why do you think it's important like for you to connect with like other nonprofits like who focus on different like identities and movements and things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
think it's.
think. Oh,
Oh, wait, can
You
you?
both can go. Go. You know what? We
Okay.
can chat. Let's chat.
oh,
Well,
wait.
actually, I feel like just opening, that's a good just like open the floor thing. I feel like since you guys like all like work together and stuff, like
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me,
yeah.
I felt like it's important for me to like be able to bring folks into this space, especially that are directly like at the forefront, right?
Mhm.
Like I did direct work for almost 8 years, and I'm only 26, right? I started doing this work at a really young age, and I remember when I was 18, just starting into like doing case management and legal advocacy. Um, it felt like I've always been very energized, and I've always been full of like I'm very playful and very joyful, and I'm always trying to like find movement and like not be so caught up in like being sad or like being like pushed down with like the realities that like a lot of us are living. And I know that that's a privilege and I hold. And so I think being 18 and going into that direct work, I got to see a lot of folks that were older, and I got to learn a lot from like my elders that were doing the work. And it felt like a huge privilege for me to like remind them to be silly and like remind them to be playful and like just put random music on and like get everyone dancing. And so like I think that's what I've always loved in community, and why it's so important for me to like bring that, because when working with youth, like we want to make sure that yes, they have all of the tools and all the resources, and also like remind them to take care of themselves, right, as best as they can, because like keeping up with everything is super hard. So for me it's really important to always find like the joy in these spaces too, because it can be really heavy, and it can be, I don't know, you can kind of like get tunnel vision sometimes. I know that I have. And so, yeah, I think for me, connecting with other folks that are working with youth that are from different backgrounds and have different intersectionalities is really important, just to like get that representation, and that like you learn something, like you'll learn something. I always learn any like one or two things from folks, and I'm like, okay, this is how I can apply it. I went from working directly with direct services to now working more, in the back end and communication. But it's still something impactful, and I still feel that I'm part of community, right? But I feel like that's been important for me. Is like being able to connect community, like I am here with Bambi and Cynthia, and also just like reminding us to be playful and find the joy in these spaces. And I know that like I've seen both Bambi and Cynthia be really joyful. Like, yeah, they know how to dance. Let me tell you something. Like, if we ever go party, listen, they know how to do it. So it's just like I feel really grateful to have experienced that, and to see my people experience joy, and to like be able to encourage that in these spaces. So that's for me. It's like connecting folks and resources and tools, and also just like reminding us to like take care of one another. But yeah, so I'll hand it over to Cynthia.
We were definitely doing like, when you have the answer and you want to tap the red button, you're like, I'm ready. I felt it virtually, but I appreciate the question, and um, I think part of this work, as I shared earlier, is the coming together that really
Mhm.
allows us to see where we have gaps. Obviously, with different identities, there's a lot of privilege and biases that we may, in like whether we like explicitly name or implicitly. And so I think that like as we continue to grow sort of like our sphere of awareness and understanding of each other's lived experience, I think it allows us to get sharper about what we ask. And like I think Bami, you mentioned like how do we apply what we're naming verbally to ourselves, to our direct group of people who we have like a relationship with every day, to then be able to scale it up in community. I think that's like one of the most rigorous and yet rewarding things that we can do, right? Because I could think about a citizenship campaign that's gonna like solve my status in the next amount of years, yet like my life is impacted by a multitude of different issues that are not just attached to citizenship. And in order for me to be a good steward of a community that is thriving, that is naming all of the different people who I don't share like an identity with, I need to continue to be like that very active, aware, engaged individual that then can actually replicate that to a large scale. So I think that for me, connecting with service providing organizations, connecting with advocacy organizations, connecting with grassroots and organizing organizations allow us to build a bigger umbrella that can hold the multitude of identities that we have, and also really grow and learn from one another. I think that our movements, for some movements, I think about the immigration movement, is fairly young in comparison to movements that have been multiple decades in the coming up, right? So we have gaps. We have areas where we haven't been able to get unstuck, and we're learning and we're trying to adapt. And I think that one of the beautiful ways in which we can continue to strengthen a multi-ethnic and multiracial and multi like gender plural space is actually by doing that, by being in relationship amongst the different organizations, but also being in relationship to one another. The fact that you're like, one of the rules per se that I have is like, if I can dance, if I can break bread with you, if I can argue or debate you about something, then like there's still things that we need to like really build to be in relationship. Because that's when you find out like who your people are. When you're in disagreement and you have to move through it because the only way through is through, like that's the thing that we need to focus on. When I think about like the most genuine and rich discussions for me often happen at the table, sharing like our lived experience or our relationship to food, for example, that I know can be like come from different arrays of our backgrounds. But yeah, and I think this is like the community that we need to hold each other when things feel so heavy in moments like this. I think it needs all of us. And the bigger the tent, the more people that we're able to like scale up and meet the moment and change the course of the tide.
Yeah, sorry, I like giggled a little bit because I can hear Bliss like
You know what's so
sitting.
funny?
Yeah.
It's muted for stream, but I keep forgetting that we're in a whole different room, and I'm like, that was
Okay, okay.
the loudest slurp that I've ever done. Okay.
I was
Yeah, I
like,
thought I heard like a little
yeah. You keep like you keep reminding me because I have a little like latte, so I'm like, oh, that sounds good right now. So because I hear you, I'm like, oh,
I'm like, oh
let
yeah,
me
so
tap in.
stream can't hear it, but you all can hear it, and I'm like, oh my god. So once that
Sorry, what's
happened,
Um,
I'm so sorry.
no, but what I was gonna follow up with saying is like, Cynthia, you're so right when it comes to like, I've honestly been the most bonded with other like organizers or other folks in community when we bumped heads. I think I remember with the civil disobedience that I did with United We Dream at the end when we were like decompressing, y'all asked like what is some feedback? And there was like some really good feedback in this space was like a lot of folks were like, oh maybe I know that one of the things that I brought up was like I would love to see more Afro Latina folks in these spaces and like how can reach out to these folks. Because like, you know, I don't see a lot of there's a lot of non-black folks here. And so I think I felt like a hesitation just because in other spaces people have been kind of like weird about it, or hesitant. And so to say it in that space with like a big group of Latinas and we were all like, what's up? Like, what are we going to talk about? The response was really welcoming. And there was like here and there with some folks where I was like, I don't really understand that, but like, I'm curious. I think moving with a lot of curiosity really helped. But I remembered you because of the way that you responded. Like, I don't think I would have remembered, you know, like certain folks from United We Dream if it wasn't for them being like, actually, like, let me check you, or like, let me tell you why this is this way, or like, I don't know, here and there. So that was really cool. But I never thought about it that way because I'm always like, I'm ready to fight. I'm always like, what? You don't agree with me? Like, what's going on? So yeah, thank you. That was a really good reminder.
So I'm always ready to fight as well. So that's it's just good energy. Look, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
Yeah, but I think, I think it's also important for us to, for those who are watching, and, I'm not sure how this is going to be disseminated, right? But I think there's also at times when I think that a lot of us, also have like a sense of a complacency, right? That, a lot of times we get to think that, how could I say, like a lot of times we forget where we come from, right? And we think that, just because we are a particular place in our lives, right, that things are better, and like whatever is going around the world is not an issue that impacts me, right? um, and so that leads to a sense of a complacency, right? And so we really need to be conscientious and be aware of that again, right, that the struggle is real, and the lives of our people are impacted in a negative way, especially with everything that is happening right now. And just because we have a Democrat president, doesn't mean that things are you know nice and peachy, right? There's still a lot of work that needs to happen, and there's still a lot of deportations that happen under this administration, and there's still you know yeah, a lot of stuff that continue to happen. And so we need to like really wake up, right, to the reality, and understanding that you know the political the political sphere doesn't necessarily control our lives and the way we live our lives, right? And so we need to be able to influence whatever change that needs to happen, whether it's political, whether it's in whatever way, so that we can get to a better place, so that we can find and really get to the place to where we want to be at, right? And even though like I may not live to see the world that I want to live in, I want to make sure that I contribute in some ways, for other people to get to that, to see the world.
Yeah, and I think Bambi, you already have. Like, I can't
Yeah.
like I know there is a lot of work to do, and I can't say enough how like sharing space with you one on one has been so life changing for like soy de Guadalajara, like soy un fresita de Mexico, like like I never thought I would be here. Like you are a huge example of like where I could be, and I never thought that. Like, so
Mhm.
I appreciate you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
I'm trying my best like not to cry this episode. It's just all it's nice. This is refreshing. It's really nice.
Mhm.
No, I was like, we're gonna be vulnerable and it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a great time. So you
um,
all kind of answered this already, but just like a couple more examples would be lovely. How has engaging with nonprofits or communities in general been important at your work or your goals as well? Yeah,
¿Quién va a
Cynthia, if you
responder?
oh, was this
Yeah.
Cynthia, if you
Who's
want to go
who's got their hand on
first?
the buzzer?
I can share and I'll be brief because I feel like I chatted a lot.
This is y'all's time. Don't
Yeah,
say
you
like, oh,
guys
we
can.
can. No, this is you time.
Okay, all right, all right. I'll let the slurping continue in the background while I share. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the community ultimately knows what they need and knows what they want. And I think about the way in which, as I shared earlier, like the way in which our communities are actually going to look and feel the way that we want them to, it takes like all of us to like steward that together. And so like United We Dream could not be the space that it is today if it wasn't for the multiple iterations of leaders and community members across the country who've pushed us time and time again to like get sharper and clearer about what we want, and like think about the gaps and the areas of growth that we have. And I just think about how the innovation and the strategy that young people bring, and even the places where we disagree and we have to like figure out how to move forward together, um, is essential to our movement. And I think that we couldn't do this work like, yeah, United We Dream is a vehicle to ultimately like move what our communities want. And so we want to continue to build that so that more people are shaping that future that we want. And I'll close with the fact that like I think that sometimes I think of like, oh, the world won't look like how I want it to before I like leave the earth. But But I think that there have been so many spaces where that transformation already exists. Like there are pride events that now like talk about undocuqueerness. There are like community spaces that are like trans folks welcome here in Oklahoma. And I've met like an enormous amount of leaders that are ultimately like, when you need something, like we'll be there to throw down for your community, and our communities are one. And I think that that's already it might be like at a micro scale, but it's already a reality. And I think that's actually why we're seeing such a big sort of backlash, because that opening has already been made, and it's almost like the final breakthrough that we really had to push through. And I'm just really excited to continue to see yeah, that everybody's queer in my world. Everybody is on a spectrum of gender, of identity, and everybody just like, yeah, there's no need for more coming out stories. It's just us living our best, fullest lives. And I think community are at the center and at the driving force of it. And so, what a privilege to get to do this work with people who are already like creating that reality every day in our spaces.
Wow, that was perfect. I think what's in my mind, you were talking about like no more coming out like stories or anything like that, and I was like, yeah, I want coming out events. I want to throw a party. Like everyone, you're invited to this event. You don't know what this event's about. Come here. This is the theme. And when you come out there, you have this whole speech. You come out. It's a great moment. It's elegant. That's kind of how I
Yeah.
want mine to be.
I was
Now you
just
say
remembering
it's a
how
coming
like
up ball.
It's a coming out ball.
Yes.
Throwing a
Yeah.
ball.
yes,
Beautiful.
It's
that'd
catered.
be so fun.
Everything's great.
It's catered. Yeah, it reminds me of like
No.
that conversation we had.
Where do people come out from?
I don't know.
Like,
We're figuring that out. Figuring that out
I
as we
mean,
go.
yeah, I don't know. I think that term. It's I don't is it a term? Like but
I never came out. I just
I
showed up
know
and I was like,
I just
this is who
I
I
showed
am. I was
up.
like,
I
I
think
said,
that's how
what's
it should
up?
be. Like we talked a
Yeah.
few episodes ago about how like coming out just feels silly because it just makes you feel like you've been kept like in a cramped, like uncomfortable space. And it's like I feel like having an like identity that isn't like society's default setting, which isn't a thing. Like that's it shouldn't be
Yeah.
a thing. And I think it's just like instead of like coming out, it's like letting people in to like know you more. Cause it's not like you shouldn't have to feel like you have to like make a big deal out of who you are. It's just who you are. And it's just like you know people well enough, you can let them in on a like, okay, sure, you know this about me, whatever. And
Yeah.
I
No,
just
that's
feel like
real.
it shouldn't be a big deal.
No, I remember when I was like 19 and I was doing like one of my first big presentations for like an event, and they were like, just name all of your identities. And I was like, um, it's gonna be a minute. I was like, you
I
want me
was
to say
like,
everything? I was like, I'm trans, I'm queer, I'm Latine, I'm like all of these things. And it was like, it was too much. So I think after that, my brain switched. Even when I like before I transitioned, I like went to Mexico. I cut my hair off, and I was like, "Yo, like this is who I am. These are my pronouns." And I was like, "Y'all can keep it moving if you don't want to be part of my life." And then I left. I started like hormones, and I came back, and I was like, "Y'all still here?" And so it was like my family was just like, "Yeah, we guess." So yeah, I think it's cool. I was just remembering that I never came out. I was just like, this is who I am. What's up? I'm like, what y'all get me for Christmas? I'm like, reparations, anyone? Like, what's up? So
right.
yeah.
Oh my god, I love that.
I'm sorry. I hate to be the putty pooper,
No,
but I do
please.
have to go. Um, I'm not sure if there's another question or anything else, but
I
I'm
feel
so
like if
sorry.
you have a second, it's just the only thing I feel like is just like how can if like for people who are watching, is there anything you want them to know? How can they stay involved with you? How can they like continue to engage with you and what you're doing? Basically, is like a parting gift.
You want to start?
Oh, baby, if you have to go, please.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Yeah. So I mean, I mean, obviously, one thing that I just want for people to understand, right? That yes, the TransLatin Coalition, it's, an organization that is contributing to the broader trans movement, right? But I think it's also important to understand that there are other translate organizations out there, and so, support trans leadership, right? Support those organizations. I think it's important for people to understand that there is a broader infrastructure development that needs to happen in the trans movement, right? And so, you know, that will require for all of us to participate in some kind of way, right? Whether it's donating, whether it's, supporting in whatever way you can. Like if you're a grant writer, or if you're an accountant, or if, whatever it is, right? Like really be intentional about how you want to support our people. Um, but certainly, I mean, I think I do want to say for us as an organization, we're creating our own content, and we are asking for people to like subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? So that we can eventually start monetizing from Google, right? Which is, it's important, right? And I also want to say that we are in the process as an organization to build a state of the art building. Part of the sustainability of our organization is that we got a $5 million loan. We purchased a piece of land, and we're building a state of the art center, right? But that is going to require $30 million that I need to raise, right? And so, if people can contribute in some kind of way, it's definitely appreciated and welcome. And really thinking about what are people contributing to, right? And you're contributing to the sustainability of the trans movement, right? And for us to continue to do the work that we're doing. And so, so those are just things that, people can, support with. But also, more on a personal note, I one of the things that I didn't mention is that I am also undocumented, right? And that I am also, right now seeking a pardon from the governor. And so we have a campaign going on that is called hashtag pardon la Bamby. Um, and so, we're asking the governor to sign my pardon so that I can, adjust my immigration situation here. My U visa application was denied because of my criminal record, right? And so, um, when I get the pardon from the governor, then I'm able to appeal the process, and they won't have a reason to deny me, right? And so, so this is important, not just for me and for my personal stability, but also, looking at, broadly, right? Like it's important to the movement too, and so if people can sign the petition and, just do the things that we're doing regarding the campaign will be super helpful to me personally. And so I would really appreciate that. So yeah, hashtag pardon la Bambi.
Beautiful.
Thank you, beautiful people.
Yeah.
Yes, Bambi, thank you so
Bambi,
much for your
thank you so
time. Thank you
much.
for your story. Thank you for being here.
Of course, yes, I appreciate the opportunity. Nos vemos pronto.
Bye,
Cuídense
hermosa.
mucho. Bye. Besos.
I'm so glad y'all got to meet Bambi. Like, it's so hard. Listen, in LA, everybody wants to talk to Bambi. It's like all the time. All the time I have to be like, you remember me? I'm like, you still remember me, right? So, yeah, a lot of knowledge, a lot of power with her.
Absolutely. My goodness. Wild.
Yeah.
It's a long trajectory of leadership too. So you know that folks are like they're getting someone and they get to talk to someone who cares about community, who's doing the work, who's grounded in their own experience. So I don't doubt that they're probably looking at the time and like, I have to go somewhere
Yeah.
and continue to do that
Yeah.
work. So I appreciate the space with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
very amazing.
yeah.
Mhm,
What about you,
absolutely.
Cynthia? Tell us.
I mean, the DACA decision around the, Hanan judge in Texas who's led an attack on DACA since the beginning of his own trajectory. And, it started in 2017. There's been multiple rulings on DACA. Literally yesterday, the new sort of like ruling from Judge Hanan came out. So I would say that like there's a lot of what Bambi said earlier about just because we have a democratic president, immigrant people are not safe in the context of like detention and deportation numbers still growing. There is the impact of this DACA decision and almost 600,000 current DACA recipients that once again, like myself, find themselves in another court ruling, basically leaving us to live 2 years at a time after the next renewal. And then there's hundreds of thousands of more people who should have been able to apply for the first time. And because of the attacks of Trump and the consistent inaction from the current Congress, from the current leadership at the White House, like communities still in limbo. And I think it's important to highlight that it wasn't just about being anti-Trump. It's actually about being pro-immigrant, about seeing immigrant people as people that deserve the safety and security and stability and opportunity to thrive just like everyone else. And that if we divested the billions of dollars that we spend in detaining and deporting people, we could reinvest that in community resources that actually improve the lives of all of us. I think about that often because just this week, obviously, we're at the heel of like the DACA decision. We have mobilizations across the country happening to demand the divest of um, funding from ICE and CBP. We've seen what happened in Florida with the anti-immigrant legislation that further like criminalizes immigrant people in the state. We saw that replicated in Kansas and Texas, the way that they're creating literally death traps for immigrants. I mean, I think that there's a term Yadi, that you used earlier, like you can't be aware of everything, but yet it's an invitation of like, then what's the commitment that I'm making to immigrant people in this moment? That like take action with us online, share the resources so that the folks who currently have DACA continue to renew and expand their protection against deportation as long as possible. And like contact your elected official or find a community organization or a group on the ground that you can connect with to build that infrastructure that Bambi talked about so that we can push for things that our communities need, whether it's like community IDs, driver's licenses, healthcare, regardless of status. There are multiple states already that have taken the lead. We need those efforts to continue, regardless of who's in the White House, because we know that unfortunately, this scarcity narratives that are being flaunted to our communities make it really hard to move something legislatively. And so it's up to us to create the communities that we need. So whether it's like sign up to host a Know Your Rights so that your neighbors know what to do to keep themselves safe, or join a civil disobedience action where people are like throwing down so that immigrant voices can be heard. Um, there's a multiple of ways in which people can do that. And for undocumented immigrant people, like we have tools, resources, opportunities to build that for ourselves. And yeah, I'll just name that there's some times where I also need to touch the grass and get rest. And like that's just as valid. Like our pure existence is resistance in a moment where like the attacks are coming. And so when people are ready, like we welcome them into our organizing spaces to really transform the places that we're in. And yeah, if you see any resources in your community, make them available. Sometimes people don't even share that they don't have status, right? And similar to like people shouldn't have to tell you. You can make those accessible and available so that everyone in your community knows they're welcome. I think that's a really powerful like first step into already building a community that cares about one another regardless of status.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, I think what comes up is just like, even I know that I've had burnouts, like when I had, because everything just feels like a lot, right? It's like, how can I continue to show up, but also just like hold myself and like continue to like show up for myself too. Like I can't fix it all at once. I think it's real, like sharing resources. I stay sharing resources on whatever platforms you're on. And I have like 300 followers on Instagram, but I know it's like you still truly, I'm like, I'm not into it like that. But I'm still gonna share these resources and like uplift it and like talk about it. And I think that's helped a lot create that balance of like, I know that I can't go protest because it doesn't feel safe for me. Um, so this is how I can uplift it, right? Or if there is a resource, like how can I share it? Who are some people that come to mind? Um, I feel like sometimes, especially when I was young, I was like ready. I was like, I want to like, I'm gonna fight everybody, and like I had a lot of energy. But as I got older and I was just like creating more mindfulness about like my own well-being, I noticed that there is other ways to show up. But it's a balance, right? And you like figure it out in your own way. But I think it's important to just like let folks know it's okay. Like you don't got to do all the things at once, and it sometimes it just takes a sharing, because you're showing up, right? So thank you for that reminder too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even like with 300 followers, there could be that one person that desperately needs that resource. So that's still important, and that's still
Yeah,
showing up. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
My
well,
gosh.
There should be
um,
a study though about the people who are like, I do all of this work, and then our follower account is like low.
That's what I'm saying. All of the organizers I know, it's like 50 followers. I'm like, we're kind of sketchy. I'm like, it's a little sketch. Um, but I'm here for it. I think it's just so hard. I don't know. I think for me, social media was just like so hard to build up because I was
Yes.
always busy. I was working, I was like out
oh,
here doing the work.
it is so
Social media
difficult to
is a
build.
full-time
Yeah,
job,
It
literally. So
is.
it's like if you're putting in the work, like if you're like freaking on the
yeah,
ground going to like things and organizing, you don't have time to build
Yeah.
up your Instagram
mm,
presence. That's just you're doing other stuff. So yeah,
There's
no, it totally
exactly.
makes sense. And I feel like trying to do both those things is just exhausting and would burn you
Yeah,
out so fast.
it's
yeah.
also
I
like,
also did want to say,
yeah.
oh, go ahead, Beth.
No, you go.
Oh, I just wanted to say I'm really, really appreciative of you and Ashley for holding this space. I know that this was a little bit more of a serious conversation that I think is really like important to have too, but I appreciate both of you just like being open and vulnerable to hold space for us. Y'all did a really wonderful job, so thank you.
Oh my God.
You.
Thank you.
Thank
That was
you. Thank you for your time and for sharing with us. Cause gosh, like, you know, I'm like a white woman in Canada, right? Like I don't have like these kind of experiences. So like just being able to hear like the stories that you have and the like things that you can share, like I don't have that lived experience. So just hearing from you will like teaches me. So I feel like I learn things every single episode of this because there's people that have lives that aren't like mine, obviously. And it's just nice to know like just my worldview just expands all the time, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, even on my side, like being a black queer man, it's always good to know like what our queer like POC siblings are going through, just so we
Mhm.
can help in any ways that we can, or have resources available any ways that we can. Because we're all fighting. We're all fighting, and we need to
Mhm.
all fight together and make sure that we're really contributing towards this change and changing this world for the better. Because this, especially in the US, the government is trying to tear us all apart and have us all fight each other for some reason. And I'm like, no, 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 no.
Mhm.
We're here to change the world together and like fight together. So I really appreciate like y'all being on this show. This was honestly
Mhm.
iconic. So
Very, very much so. My goodness.
I'll just say the abundance that like we all bring, I think is what makes the space so rich. Today was obvious as you can imagine at the heels of the DACA decision. Like, oh man, there's all these things. And there's just like an energy shift as soon as we jumped on the screen. So like I echo that it's like the ability to hold space, the ability to like move conversation in both like the places where we're joyful and playful and be like, así nos gusta vivir, like live and well, and the places where like, this is the stuff that we have to move through. Like that's so powerful. Cause I think, yeah, it just allows us to be like, how are we arriving?
Mhm.
And that being enough. And like we don't have to like move in any way. So I echo the gratitude for the invitation and the gratitude for the gift of just even transforming my own energy in this space after tough news yesterday, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel even more energized. We have trainings over this weekend to get like folks ready for someone of like what we call autumn of dreams, where we're getting folks like ready for their back to school and how to organize in schools in their chapters to like keep eyes out of spaces that's supposed to be safe for students and educators and the role that they play. And it was almost like an infused with new energy that I'm like, I am so pumped now, that
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't even know I needed, and I feel it now in my heart. So I just wanted to really share that appreciation for all of you, and
Yes.
Bambi, who's not here
Awesome.
but also contribute.
Yes. Likewise, likewise. I also love that we were able to like pause. I know that there was a lot of processing of these conversations. So I
Mhm.
hope y'all like after this call are able to like hold yourselves and just like, drink some water, stretch, all the things.
Yeah, and also
Mhm.
remember that you're a human being at the end of the day, and you need that relax. And
Yep.
something that I've been
Facts.
telling myself this week is that you are enough and you are doing enough. So
Mm,
just remember that as
Yeah,
well. Just that's
yes.
important.
Yes. So
absolutely.
important. Yes.
Well, we want to say thank you for joining us today.
Mhm.
Is there any social media that you want to pump before heading out?
Get those Instagram followers
I
up,
know.
right?
I want those Instagram followers.
Look, Bambi
Yeah.
about to be like, here's my personal. Nah, but for real, y'all should follow United We Dream. We know the Twitter X, it's a dumpster fire over there, but I think Instagram is we're really uplifting all of these resources for community right now. There's a community call that's kicking off for folks who are impacted by the DACA decision. We're gonna continue to organize and do the work. So like tap into the UWD, whether it's online to figure out like what is the next training or community chapter that you can be joining, or our social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, which you'll see some superstars in there too. I'm not there just yet as a superstar, but you have some really pretty cool people there. So just follow a UWD account, and yeah, there are gonna be multiple opportunities for folks to engage, whether it's like this is my first space, or you've already a season organizer who just wants to like participate in other spaces. We welcome everyone. So hope to
Awesome.
see you folks
It
there.
gets better. Thank you so much for putting all the links in chat and
Yeah,
all
all
the
the
links
links.
in chat. I
Yeah.
Love
really
it. Love it.
appreciate it. Yuri, do you have any social media you wanna
Yeah. Thank you for
plug?
reminding me. Um, so we just started a new Instagram in Espanol. And so that's where we're gonna be sharing all the resources, sharing all the community. Like I hope that Instagram feels like community, like we're here. So our Instagram is It Gets Better Espanol. Yeah, I hope y'all like go over there and follow it. It's silly, it's goofy, but it's also like really sharing like the resources and all the things that community can tap into.
I'm literally following it right now because I realized
Yeah.
that I was not. So
Look,
now, yep.
am I going to learn Spanish
Wow.
via memes? Maybe.
Yes, yes, please
I
do.
mean,
No, honestly, yes, I think so. I can put you on.
yeah, send us the best memes, please. Best memes.
I'll be
Well,
y'all's like personal Duolingo.
we appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for being here, and y'all, please again take care of yourselves and have an amazing day or
Yes.
night.
Yeah, have an amazing time zone. Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you. Take care.
You
See
too.
ya.
My goodness gracious. What wonderful conversations.
That was so refreshing. That was just so
So
refreshing.
refreshing. My gosh. And just it's always nice to just hear people's stories and experiences and just, because like complacency came up a lot, and it's like sometimes you just kind of like it's not like kind go I don't know how to phrase it, like kind of go numb to everything that happens sometimes because now we have the world at our fingertips, so you just
Yeah.
hear everything all of the time.
There's a lot of information and a lot of like media to digest, and sometimes it could be a lot. So it puts us in a paralysis, especially if you're ADHD. It puts you
Yes,
in a
exactly.
paralysis.
So just like hearing from people, it just kind of like grounds you kind of into it more than just being bombarded with like 1,000 things. It's just like
Yeah,
nice to just listen and just chill and listen.
chill
But
and
yeah,
listen.
and
Well,
learn.
I have one more thing for us, Ashley.
Of course.
So the Hispanic and campaign highlights all of the ways our intersexual identities complement each other and inform our experiences as LGBTQ plus people. Throughout the months, we have heard from queer trailblazers from a variety of backgrounds and learn how their cultures influence their lives. So we actually have a TikTok video that we're going to watch.
Fun.
And it's cool. It's a cool video. I've actually watched it ahead of time. It's really cool, but chat, you're gonna love it. But yeah, let's watch that right now.
Hola, my name is Henry Jimenez. I'm a photographer, actor, and content creator based in Los Angeles, California. My self love and acceptance journey has been a tough but beautiful experience. Because I used to be really insecure about my color skin, about my height, about my facial features, until I realized that I come from a powerful and beautiful culture, and I'm just beautiful and pretty just the way I am. If I can describe my work in 2 words, it will be sensual y libre. I feel like my mission as a content creator is to bring awareness and inspire Latinos that look like me to love and accept themselves just the way you are. And now more than ever, I feel really proud of coming from a powerful and beautiful indigenous and Latino culture.
Okay, so I
Gorgeous.
talked about this like earlier with you. I was like, these are like amazing photos. Like, oh my God.
Hmm.
But that's a somewhat like similar experience to like what I've had growing up being black in a predominantly white area, is that I didn't really have a time to love myself or love my skin because of the constant like bullying I received for it of being too dark or being not black
Yeah.
enough or anything like that. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many rules for me to just live my life and enjoy my identity. But it's really cool seeing someone take that energy and like
Mm.
create beauty and be like, hi, I was
Yeah.
I was bullied for this, and no, I'm pretty, and this is the pretty content that I'm creating. And I'm like, yeah, go off.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful. The photography is great. Just everything is beautiful. And yeah, it's great just to see like I just love like yeah, I'm pretty the way I am. And it just like that vibe just makes me so happy because like yeah, it's who you are and it's great. And I always just love seeing people like it's a thing I feel like that happens to a lot of kids who get like cut off from their culture by like moving away from it or just society and things like that and just like kind of reconnecting with it as adults and going back and really like steeping themselves in it. And I think that's so awesome to see like with all of the like headdresses and like the body paints and everything and all like the photography and just really feeling like that culture is like great. And I love because I see it a lot, especially lately with like indigenous people who go back and like they start like doing their own like beaded jewelries and things and like learning like languages from their like grandparents and things and just like things that they couldn't do when they were younger because of whatever reason. It just makes me happy to see people really living their truth
Yeah.
loudly.
It's I would say it's fun and also a scary thing as someone who found out that they thanks to 23andMe found out that I am also indigenous, and that
Oh,
I went to my grandmother and I said, I need you to explain something. And she goes, oh yeah, no, like your grandmother was like 100% Cherokee. Like I have some of the things that like the things that you can see. And I was like, grandmama, so like were we just gonna talk about this? Was just gonna be
Just
information
never
that
gonna
you were
mention it.
never going to mention ever? And she was like, oh, I just like thought you like knew. Grandmama,
Oh,
come on.
no,
So
but thanks.
I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
hey, found this out about myself. Did you know about this? And she goes, oh
See,
yeah, no, I know.
I feel like I really got a 23andMe it because I feel like whenever people ask like where like my family's from, I know where my dad's side is
Yeah.
from. My mom's side, I'm like, I have no idea. It's just like some places in Canada.
Somewhere.
And I literally have no clue at all whatsoever.
I say you should do
So
it. It's very cool. I mean, a lot of people are like, the government will keep track on you, and I'm like, yeah,
they already are. If they
already
are, they
are.
are, you
If
know?
they are, they are. I'm on the internet a lot, so they
Yeah.
are at this point. But you also might like, you might help find something. I mean, I'll be honest, that's how they found like the I think it's Golden State Killer or something, is someone
Yes.
doing
Oh my gosh.
23andMe. So you might be
Which, hey,
doing something cool in the process.
yeah, look, you could be solving crimes, right?
But chat, just a reminder, make sure that you follow all of It Gets Better projects, like social media, especially on Instagram, because you'll be able to check out the rest of the videos that they are going to be posting for this month, or as the month progresses. So so Ash, we're getting to the end of
Yes.
our show. So
Yeah.
I said I had a question for you for us to end
Yes.
on, and it wasn't going to be what we're doing this week. My question is,
Mm.
what flavor smoothie are you, and why?
Oh, see, my brain is immediately going to like milkshakes. It's not the same. Okay.
You can do milkshakes. I'm okay with you doing milkshakes for this.
Okay, I'll answer for both because I feel like my favorite milkshakes are very similar to like my favorite like Blizzard from Dairy Queen. So it's like a strawberry like cheesecake milkshake would be like my king.
You are like, you and me. You and me here. That's I love when I get frozen yogurt, I normally get like I make a strawberry cheesecake frozen yogurt, and it's just like, and
Same.
I add chunks of cheesecake into it and like a strawberry drizzle. So like I get where you are coming from.
Okay, I will go back and answer the actual smoothie question, but I just have to say, I know that you will feel my pain on this. We had a froyo place in the mall near me. Like, I'm talking almost a decade ago now, like when I first moved to this freaking city. And I used to go all the time, and it hasn't been there for years, but they used to have like perfect, beautiful, like strawberry cheesecake froyo. And it was like cheesecake, like infused froyo with cheesecake pieces and fresh strawberries on it with like graham cracker like dust on it.
Yeah.
And they took that away from me, and I haven't had it in years, and it's the best thing ever. Oh, it's so good. But talking about smoothies particularly, I feel like I would just be a mixed berry smoothie.
A mixed berry
Because
smoothie.
I like to just get like frozen berries and just pour them into a blender. Just like a berry mix, a good berry mix, you know? How about you?
I kind of want to transform this question into a milkshake now, so that's where
Okay, yeah,
I'm
go
going to
next.
be.
Give me your milkshakes.
I'm gonna do a strawberry banana milkshake, but it's with oat milk ice cream.
Oh,
And
okay.
because you get a little bit of the tangy, because I feel like I can be tangy sometimes, and just a little bit of like, I feel like a banana is a comfort fruit for some
Yeah.
reason.
Banana with ice cream is like very comforting. Like comforting. I like
It's
it.
like healing your inner child. I feel like that's where I'm at right now. So I'll do a strawberry banana milkshake, which is what I will be ordering exactly after this show.
Yeah, I just remembered that we have like a cool milkshake place near me-ish. And so now I'm like, what if we just order
Yep,
milkshakes
I
tonight?
am opening DoorDash. Okay. Well,
Great.
before we head on out, y'all, the next episode is going to be on the 21st, and it will be kicking off a very fun topic of Bisexuality Awareness Week.
Oh my God, I'm so
I'm-
excited.
we-
I'm so
we
excited for
will
us
be
to talk for
talking.
2 solid hours.
Talking just about being bi.
It's gonna be great. So I feel like, yeah, next week we are not gonna have any guests. It's just gonna be the two of us, and I feel like we're just gonna riff with chat and just talk about being bi because
Yeah,
we
we're gonna
both
be
are. And
your bi teachers. Your bi professors.
yeah, sorry, I'm just I am already wearing like an Argyle like cardigan. Let me just. And now I'm like, yeah, there we
Oh,
go.
I'm the
I'm here.
gym teacher. I showed up like 30 minutes late.
That's chill. That's all right. That's beautiful. I'm very excited for it. But yeah, mark it in your calendars. Yeah, it's just going to be next week. So it's coming quick, and it's going to be a great time.
Yeah. Well, chat, Ashley, thanks so much for being here. This was a fun heckin' episode.
Thank you for coasting with me.
For coasting. And chat, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Have a beautiful rest of your time zone of your
Bye,
day.
everyone.